is going on, guys? Today I got your top 5 best rebirth ARs in the game right now. And to be starting off today, we have the Grau. Did make an appearance in our Warzone top 5, but I think it's also very viable in rebirth as well. So to start out, for barrel or for muzzle, we'll be doing the monolithic as usual. For barrel, we'll be going with the Tempest Archangel like before. And the underbarrel, go again with commando, laser, tac laser for the aim down sight speed and the aiming stability. You don't really need a sight on this gun, especially because most of the fights in rebirth are going to be mid to semi close. So you don't really need a sight, to be honest. I mean, you could, if you want, you could just throw on maybe the VLK or maybe a hollow or something, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then magazine, you're going to throw on the 60 mag. I find is the best match right there. So yeah, very good. Just like Warzone's very good. It's a laser. It's just even better in a form of rebirth. So yeah. Up next for my number 4, I have the Cooper Carbine. Now, there are arguments that you can put this in Warzone, which you can, but I find it to be a little bit more effective in rebirth. So to start out here, for muzzle, we're going to be going with the MX silencer, horizontal, vertical, damage range, you know, the whole shebang. Barrel, we're going to be going with the Cooper Custom 22-inch here. Best barrel, honestly, in my opinion, out of all these, best attribute pluses. For the underbarrel, I'm going to say the Mark 6 Skeletal is the best to go here. Aim down sight speed, you definitely need that since you're going to be, this is more of a mid-long range setup. And it has also a little bit of movement to there. The magazine will be going with the 9mm 60s. 60, yeah, it is a lot, and you would think that it would reduce your reload speed a lot, but it really does not, to be honest. It's actually a pretty fairly quick reload speed, but those are the best there. For ammunition, I would say go lengthened here because you already have a suppressor. You don't need subsonic optic. We're going to be going, this is preference, but I think overall the best would be the G16 2.5, similar to the VLK 3.0 from MW, but obviously that 0.5 a little less. It's a very good. Also, with that sight, I would also throw on the, if you guys have it unlocked, the crosshair dot. I think that's the best out of all of them, and I think it's better than the default with the annoying kind of cross. But yeah, rear grip, I'm going to be going with taped, best overall. I think has no negatives to it, and it's just really good. Adds movement speed, that more stability. The Cooper by itself is already pretty much a laser, but we're just helping keep that consistent throughout the build. For the stock, I want to go with the Cooper 45W stock here. Recoil while mounted crouched or prone, so if you guys ever do those sorts of things. I don't really find myself doing that much of mounting and stuff, but definitely the big one here is accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. That's a big one. That's the one we're aiming for. That's why I took on that one there. For perk 1, I would say tight grip is what you want to go here. And for perk 2, I would say on hand for that faster ADS speed as well. Cooper, very good. Like I said before, it's a laser like the Grau, but I think it has a little bit better TTK at mid-range, at least for rebirth in that case. And that's why it's at my number 4. Next up, sitting at my number 3, we have the CR56 AMAX, which did get that buff that we discussed about in my top 5 best assault rifles in Warzone or Caldera. But yeah, we're pretty much sticking with the same build here. Muzzle will be going with monolithic suppressor. Barrel will be going with the XRK. Best barrel, obviously. I mean, you only get 3 options, so that's kind of easy to choose. Commando foregrip, very easy build here. 45 round mag on it, and then optic, I would throw on the VLK 3.0. You can put, if you want, maybe like the, what is it, like the, you could put a hollow since you're a little bit closer range, mid-range fights, but I mean, to be honest, the VLK I think is just unmatched in a lot of the things, so I would just put that on as well. So pretty much a little bit copy and paste of our Warzone, but again, on my number 3, or it is my number 3 because CR is very good. Mid-range is very good. I think a little bit better than the Cooper, I would say, in my opinion, or at least that I found myself. And yeah, that's why it's at my number 3. Next up, sitting at my number 2, I have the XM4. We did have this in the Warzone assault rifle video as well, but it is still very dominant even in the Rebirth scene. We're pretty much doing a little bit more of a copy and paste again, like we did with the CR. Agency suppressor, like before. Barrel, going with that task force, best barrel there is. Usually best barrel, honestly, in Cold War. For our underbarrel, we're going to be going with the field agent grip. Best again, like I said. And then for magazine, you're going to be going with the Stanig 60 rounds. 60 rounds, pretty much the best there is, to be honest, for a lot of the assault rifles. And then for sight, you're going again with the Axle Arms 3 times scope there. I mean, if you would like to as well, like I've said before, some of the other assault rifles in this, that you can go with maybe like a mid-range, more of a mid-range, like a Microflex. But I don't know. I think the Axle Arms 3 times is the best, just all around. So like I said, a little bit of a copy paste again, but it's very good in its mids, just like it is in long range fights. So yeah, it's very dominant in Rebirth, I think, still. And yeah, the velocity honestly is a very good star of this weapon. And for my number 1 on my list, I have the Vargo 52. I just can't get enough of this gun. It's so good in Warzone or in Caldera, and it's so good in Rebirth. The mid-range TTK is insane. Long-range TTK is insane. This thing is built for a lot of good gunfights. Close range, not that much. That's where you like the SMGs. But when you get into those mid-range, long-range, it just, there's nothing you can do. It is an absolute tear machine. And I mean, in my opinion, I don't know. I just love it a lot. But we're doing, like I said, you know, it will be a little bit of a copy paste again, but I mean, there's really, it's the best to me. So like I said before, we'll be doing the GRU suppressor. We'll also be doing the task force, again, the 18.6 task force here. For optic, you get the Axle Arms 3 times. For your underbarrel, you're going to be going with the Spetsnaz grip here. If you want a little bit more movement speed, since we are in Rebirth, you could go for the Bruiser grip here. It isn't a terrible option. As you see, it gives you some control, obviously with the hip fire, and then obviously some movement speed with that mobility, so you can move around better. If you would like that, that isn't a horrible option, to be honest. But I think overall the Spetsnaz grip is good, still stabilizes the gun a little better. And the magazine here will be going with the Spetsnaz 60 rounds. And that's pretty much not really much to go. Other things here, that's pretty much default to go with. And yeah, that's my number 1 on the list for Rebirth. And obviously was my number 1 for Warzone. And I don't think this thing will stop anytime soon, to be honest. And for honorable mention that I have, didn't quite make the top 5, but is very, very good in Rebirth. And it's been a while since this has been a little bit part of the quote-unquote meta for Rebirth, but with this update, I think that the QBZ is one of the best mid-range assault rifles in the game. Long range, it does have a little bit of damage fall off, so it is kind of hurting in that area, but I think the mid-range is very, very good. So for muzzle, we'll be going with the agency suppressor here. For barrel, task force, the 15.5 task force, who would have guessed it. The underbarrel here, you could go, like I said before, you could go Bruiser grip if you would like, if you want a little more movement speed. It doesn't really have much negative, but I think to control the weapon, especially if you're going a little bit more farther mids and into your longs, I think the field agent grip is just overall going to help you a lot better. Magazine, I would go with the Stanig 60 drum here. You can say, oh, it's going to be really slow. It isn't really that slow, to be honest. So I would stick with that Stanig there. Optic, like all the Cold War before. Axle Arms 3 times, the best overall, even though we are in Rebirth. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. A very good gun, like I said. It didn't quite make the top 5, but the mid-range is very good. It doesn't reach, obviously, as some of ours on the top 5, but it is actually very good, and it's very consistent across the board. And yeah, so that concludes our top 5 ARs in Rebirth. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and click that notification bell so you know when I post. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.